We have this great program today. It's a Compass to MS Care event. We do these in rural America and underserved communities around the United States. I want to let you all know that today's event is supported by EMD Serono, Sandoz, Banner Life Sciences, Genentech, Biogen, Bristol-Myers, Squibb, Sanofi, and Novartis. That's great to hear. All these pharmaceutical companies representing what we're doing or supporting what we're doing because they know that our programs are making a great impact. So I want to thank you all for attending today. Also exhibiting today, we have Bristol-Myers Squibb, Novartis, Banner, EMD Serono, Accorda Therapeutics was going to be here. Last minute they could not. And Alexion, who you'll hear about going forward as well. We got a special guest coming on, all right? We have Suzanne O'Connell, all right? Suzanne O'Connell is the president and founder of the Multiple Sclerosis Alliance of Virginia. She started this organization quite a while ago, and everybody here is happy. She originally just had a support group, but built it up so much so that it was recommended to her that she create it as a nonprofit organization. All right, she's going to describe the activities of the Multiple Sclerosis Alliance of Virginia, which benefits patients throughout Western, rural, even Eastern underserved areas. Forget underserved, forget the rural. She just does so much for the people with MS in the state of Virginia and even getting into West Virginia that I had to give her the opportunity to show everybody why people need to get involved from other pockets of the United States and help others in their community. All right, so take it away.
So I'm Suzanne O'Connell. I live in Floyd, Virginia, which is in the middle of nowhere in the mountains up above Blacksburg. And about 10 years ago, I got a phone call from an older couple in the Roanoke Valley asking if I was interested in helping save the Roanoke Valley MS support group. And I said, no, thank you for calling, and hung up my phone. And I sat there for a minute because I live in the woods in Floyd County where the air is clean and there's no traffic and cars, and my closest neighbors are bear and deer. And so I hung up my phone. I sat there and I'm like, well, that was rude. Why did I do that? So I called them back and I said, I'm sorry, I was rude. I guess I should at least listen to what you're saying. It had taken me a long, long time to learn to live with my MS. I'd already lost my job. I lost my job because, at a young age, as with so many people, I wasn't dependable. Isn't that something? If you can't depend on yourself, it's hard to ask someone else to depend on you. And that's what I started struggling with in my job, because I was good at what I did, as so many of us are. And I found with the people I meet that I'm constantly hearing people talk about what they were, or I did this, or I did that. And I think so much of us lose our identity. So I want to be sure I say that we're still the people that we are. But I had been really good in sales and marketing. And so when they asked me if I was interested in helping with this group, I called them back and I said, well, what did you have in mind? Why don't you do it? And they said, probably for the same reason that you don't want to do it. So I started talking to them about it, and so I took over a little group in Roanoke that had 5 old people, and I'm one of them old people. And the first month we had 12 people on a icy, snowy, cold night, and we originally met in an office off of the Psych Center. Make sense of that. Is that a compliment or what? That was the awfulest place in the world to meet, and I immediately said, if I'm going to do this, we're not going to meet in a Psych Center. I mean, I already feel like I'm crazy, right? I'm originally from California, and I was raised in Salem. I went to high school and college in Salem, and I have 3 children, all grown now. And then I have 2 grandchildren, the light of my life, as most people with grandchildren, and they've all kept me alive. When I was diagnosed, my youngest was 1, and ironically, I think I remember I didn't feel good. And when you don't feel good, you say and do really weird things. And I think it had only been like a week or two earlier, I'd gotten in an argument with everybody I knew, and I didn't need anybody. And I was going to do everything by myself, and everybody just leave me alone. And then a couple weeks later, I couldn't hardly even walk. So all of a sudden, we do need other people in our life. I'm a Navy veteran. I served in the Navy during the Vietnam War. And that's where I started getting sick. But I did not know at the time, as with so many people, that I had multiple sclerosis. Back then, most people were diagnosed with either a nervous condition or stress or all the list, I'm sure. How many people got diagnosed with stress or that you were insane or whatever first? You know, that happens to so many people. And so it took many, many, many years to actually get my diagnosis. I'm stunned now that people are getting diagnosed very quickly. We have people in our group that have been diagnosed. One girl was diagnosed in a week. I had not ever heard of such a thing. And another one in our group was diagnosed in 2 weeks. Karina, you were diagnosed very quickly, weren't you? Yeah. That's mind-blowing to me because diagnosis I've been diagnosed 37 years, and it took about 10 years, and then they didn't make my diagnosis be confirmed for about 5 more years. But back then, insurance was different, and once you were diagnosed with MS, you would lose your insurance and you couldn't get insured. So the doctors were doing you a favor. They just couldn't openly say to you, I'm doing you a favor, not giving you this diagnosis. And a lot of times I'll hear people say that they know they've gone to progressive and the doctor isn't putting it on the records. Thank them and talk to them about it off the record as often as you want to. But most times your doctor's doing you a favor because insurance is not our friend right now, as you probably have all found out. I had to retire very young with MS. The number one problem that I had was cognitive issues, and I believe most of those came from fatigue. And people living with fatigue understand that our fatigue isn't normal fatigue. I have crippling fatigue, and it doesn't just affect my legs or my arms when I try to brush my hair. It affects my everything, my vision, my thinking, and fatigue is something that's almost impossible to explain to other people. My balance, and my ability to do a lot of things. So I had to retire very, very, very young. I did for a while get involved with some of the national organizations. I'm sure a lot of you have done walks and bike rides and things like that, and I did that for many years. I still serve on the National MS Society, GRC, federal and state, to make sure that we're getting the right funding for our medications, and there's things I see that need to be done, but we work more at a smaller level. So after we started the little support group, which was the Roanoke Valley MS support group, we declared our group independent. And I did that out of the advice of several advisors, because if you belong to an organization, if you have an MS Society group or an MSAA group or an MSF group, then you're answering to an organization. And I didn't want to answer to anybody. I wanted us to be able to talk about and do whatever we wanted to so that we could learn about all kinds of treatments, that we weren't locked in by the drug company that sponsored this event, and that's all we're going to talk about. I wanted to talk about alternative treatments, and even a couple years ago, a lot of you, I believe, were there. You got to come when I brought a doctor in from Mexico, the leading doctor in the world for stem cell transplants, and a lot of the organizations would not do that because he doesn't live here and he's competition with the pharmaceuticals. So our little group was like like a story. It just, after our first month, and this was like 8 years ago, every month it doubled. So we went from 12 to 24, 48, and then about 6 months later, I'd gotten word that there was a new neurologist coming to town. And Roanoke Valley, Southwest Virginia, is very neurologically poor, especially MS poor. And so we were very excited that Carilion was bringing in a new neurologist, and they were going to open our first ever MS center. And so I was able to find him before he arrived, and we planned for him to speak, and he came. And we filled a room at the Holiday Inn with over 100 people. And here's this little 6-month-old new support group, and many of you were there. Katina, you were there. I believe you were there. Denise and Donna, and a lot of people. And so our little group just kept growing. And then I remember the first time someone said, well, I think you should start a nonprofit. And I'm like, I think you should jump off of a hill. I'm already doing enough. A support group was a lot of work. Do you guys have dry mouth due to your medicine and stuff? Okay, good. Good, then you understand me. In the meantime, I started doing, I'm different. Anybody that knows me knows I'm kind of different. I lost a lot, I thought, when I got diagnosed. One of my favorite things to do was go to music festivals. And it's hard to rock and roll and get down and party and dance when you can't hardly walk, And, but I had a friend that was the on-grounds director at Floyd Fest, and so one year back, 10 years ago, same time period, I kind of blossomed at the same time. She offered me to come to Floyd Fest. She'd give me good parking, and a Blues Traveler was going to be there, and it was just great. And so I decided I'd go there, and I'd spread joy and spread the message about MS. So that's where the little thing I've handed out to everybody came from. You have your pennies. And I took those, and I had my scooter, and I had gotten new tags for my car. And if you see my car outside, my car tags say MS sucks. I wasn't sure that the state of Virginia would let that ride, because 10 years ago, people didn't think MS sucks was a good word, and I don't know why. If you think that, that's your problem, not mine. But they printed my first ones wrong, so they let me keep them. And so I put the first tag on my scooter. So my scooter has a tag that says MS sucks, my little basket, and I filled it up with these little penny things. And people asked why I put money in them. The reason I did was I wanted to give people a message, and if you hand people a piece of paper at any festival or anything, they just take the paper and you find them all in the trash can. But people don't throw away money. And I always try to get little shiny ones. I'd sit around like I don't have a life, shining pennies and putting them in little bags and taking them to places. And so this was my story, very simplified, to explain to people that know nothing about MS, maybe a little bit about what MS was about. And it was those journeys that showed me that probably in order to educate the world, we're probably going to have to start with children, because adults aren't really very open-minded. And as we know, living with MS, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And so I think with children, you can explain to them how easy it is to run out of money. And for us, it's so easy to run out of energy. So the pennies is a good scenario. So I went to some festivals with the help of cooling vests and a scooter. And those are things that, I was diagnosed young. So a walker, I hate walkers. They were such an insult to me. They looked like things that belonged to little old ladies, that I didn't think at 30 it was fair that I had to use one of those things. But, and the same with the wheelchair. I didn't want to use those things, but those are tools to enable us to continue to live our life, just like our handicap stickers on our car. So that got me to where I was able to start getting out and doing some things, but I couldn't do a whole lot. Then I lucked into the new world of the miracle drugs, because when I was diagnosed, there was nothing. So I don't generally share what my miracle drug was, because my miracle drug won't be your miracle drug. But I happened to get on one, and 4 months and 1 day after I went on it, I was able to stay out of bed 2 days in a row. So I started doing more things. So my son he and his wife had a professional bike team. So we started the MS Sucks bike team, and they rode all up and down the East Coast, and we dwelled more on the MS Sucks wild team. And I was going to strip for you and everything else and do a little whatever, but so we designed our little shirts, and they've sold out anytime we've ever had them. And most times it lets people know I have MS, but I've been called Miss Sucks, and I've had all kinds of questions asked about my shirts. But a wheelchair ball team in New York bought 100 shirts from me, and that's their team shirt. And it helped us get our little organization going. So we did decide to start a nonprofit. We had $32.51. It wasn't enough to open a bank account. And we had a lawyer that offered his services, but didn't bother to tell me he was offering his services. But the lady that did all the typing, what do you call those people? She wasn't free. But that's all right. That bill came later after we learned how to earn a little bit of money. So we started this little nonprofit, the Multiple Sclerosis Alliance of Virginia, with nothing except a whole lot of people living with MS and their caregivers. And we didn't know what we were doing at all. And I'll show you something interesting. How many people were there when we started it? Hazel, Donna, you guys were, yeah. So we were little, but everybody got together, and we figured we'd make something work. So we're a civic organization, which means we serve at a local level, but we will help people anywhere, help get support groups started. So we have a support group. They're independent, one in Bristol and one in Hillsville, where there's an event going on this weekend that they're doing a bike ride to raise money for the MS Alliance, because we still remain just a small nonprofit. We have no employees. We're 100% volunteer, and a lot of the volunteers that we use, Jacqueline, you volunteer, Katina always has. Denise handles so many things for us, including we do proclamations every year for MS Awareness Month. We're really big on awareness in the community. But we've reached on out and done really cool things that I know my time is up, and so I just want to tell you a couple of the really cool things that we do that are really just fun. First of all, we have a loaner closet. And it's a loaner closet where we have wheelchairs, we have Hoyt lifts, we have ramps, toilet seat lifts, anything you can think of that you might need. If you got worse all of a sudden, or if you were going to go on a trip and you needed a scooter for a trip and you didn't want to buy one or rent one. If you don't have insurance, we just a couple weeks ago got donated a $40,000 chair that's brand new, the kind that goes up and down and all around, and we don't charge anybody for these things. If you have the need and we can help you, we'll get it in your hands somehow. We are located, we now have an office, we're located in the only ever new MS center that's our first MS center in Southwest Virginia. Yeah, that Dr. Jill Kramer opened for us in Salem on Apperson Drive. And in our center, the ultimate goal was, I don't remember if you remember the day you were told you had MS, but I remember walking out of there and going, what now? It's just, what now? But if you walk out of Dr. Kramer's office in Salem, Virginia, and you've been told you have bad news, or you have MS, or something else is wrong, or your MS has come back, or it's changed, straight out of her office, there we are. And it always brings tears to my eyes to think how many years it went before I could find someone to talk to about MS after I got diagnosed. I remember somebody gave me a phone number of somebody, and I waited 2 or 3 years to call that person, because I always wanted to talk to somebody, but I didn't know how, you know what I mean? And so we're there now. You get diagnosed, you can walk right out of there, and there's a smiling face there that someone living with MS. And that's where we have literature, and we can help people with resources. And we have this really cool thing. And I literally was going to, I was going to come in here dressed in layers, and then I'm just a simple little person like you guys living with MS, but we invented the coolest little thing. I went on a cruise, the first cruise I'd ever gone on in my life with an MS group, and I realized that there are ways we can keep our life living with MS. It can try to take it away from us, but we can keep our life. Remember this, no matter how low you get, you can go on a cruise. Heck, I was going to go on one in an ambulance. I didn't care how they got me there. I was going on that cruise. And my first cruise I went on, I saw my husband. I'm married to Jed Clampett. I saw my husband dressed up for the first time in all the years we'd been together. Now, that was hilarious, taking Jed Clampett on a cruise, I promise you this. But I saw him dressed up, and I got dressed up, and I matched my scooter, and it was just wonderful. And so we started this. I got back from that, and I went to the little shop I go to, and the lady said, "Did you have fun?" I'm like, oh my God, I felt like Cinderella. And you know, if they're waiting on you hand and foot, and somebody's making your food everywhere, and they clean your bed just the minute you walk out of your room, clean your toilet, everything's done, you have life left. And I realized, wow, I'm going to go live on a cruise ship. Well, now I'm not going to do that. But out of that, I realized that we don't put at the top of our priority list getting dressed up and looking pretty. I'm very happy when I can, first of all, get up in the morning, and second of all, put my feet on the ground, and then seriously make it to the bathroom without dripping all the way there or getting out of a wet bed. And that has been a worse problem since my surgery. But so after I went back to the shop, and the lady asked me if my trip was good, and I told her I felt like Cinderella, I said, I'd sure like to help everybody with MS feel that way. And she said, well, I'll help you. And I'm like, really? She was getting ready to purge the formals in her shop. And that year she gave us, so we started doing dress-ups. So that year she gave us 132 ball gowns and formals. And that was the birth of Cinderella's Closet. Who was there for that event? Yeah, you are photographers. Yeah, so we took those 132 ball gowns and formals to Smith Mountain Lake, and didn't have any idea. At the MS Society at the time was doing that program, had no idea what we were in store for. The very first person that came up to me, and I said, I had my little crown on, and I was playing like I was Cinderella, and I was just Miss Cheery me, and this lady walks up, and I said, we're going to do something different this year. We're going to have Cinderella's Closet. And she looked at me, and I won't say what she said to me exactly to y'all, but I will tell you that she told me that I didn't come here to dress up. I brought my tennis shoes and my shorts, and I intend to rest. And I'm like, fine, you don't have to do it. And then I started getting really like, okay, this isn't going to work. And here I was feeling like a goof at Cinderella's Closet with a crown and a formal and a wand I'd made. And I might have just made a total fool of myself. And we had the dresses, and people weren't coming. And then all of a sudden, we opened the door, and the line went around the building, and the birth of it happened. I'm not as smart as some people think I am, but I love playing dress up, and I love making people happy. And one of the first people I had to help in that room, the lady's no longer with us, but she was in a wheelchair. And this is the miracle. It's called Cinderella's Closet. This lady that came in the room in her wheelchair was a large woman, probably about an 18. And I said, did you find anything you like? And she's like, oh, yeah, I love that one. Well, I only had 3 dresses that were larger than an 18. It was my first time doing this. And I had no idea what I was doing. A business in town had donated a bunch of hooker heels. Well, we all have MS. What in the world are we going to do with hooker heels? I mean, so here I am with 100, 5, 6, 7, 8 size dresses, many more larger women, and hooker heels. I'm like, I'll make this happen. So this lady keeps eyeballing this beautiful gown. And don't you see anything else, Pat, that you like? No, I want that one. And I don't know at what point it happened, but my angel was following me everywhere I go now. I always try to look up above the doors to see where she's perching or something. I said to myself, she lives in a wheelchair. That's a big ball gown. My goodness, it was probably a $2,000-$3,000 ball gown. It was gorgeous, layers and layers. So I thought, I can tear the back of that gown up, pull the crap from under it, all the layers, poke holes in it, and weave the back of it back together and put it on her. And then I took some of the crinoline from underneath and made a poof. She's not going to get out of her chair, so I took a pair of the hooker heels and took them out in the parking lot and spray painted them to match her dress. You should see when we left Smith Mountain Lake that year. There was little spray paint shoe marks everywhere. The grass, you remember that? They were everywhere. It was so funny. And she looked beautiful, and that night was a beautiful night. I know you guys taking pictures. We were all crying, but I'll share one story that is dear to my heart. But going back to Cinderella's Closet, I have a squirrel that jumps around me all the time. I want to show you an example of the beauty of Cinderella's Closet. Generally, Rob and Karen have their twins with them, and we have so much fun dressing them up. But there's nothing more fun than dressing up Karen, who's absolutely beautiful. So I asked her if she would bring one of her Cinderella's Closet selections and show you a little bit about the fun we have. So we put fun into pampering ourselves, getting makeovers, manicures, doing hair. The lady that does our hair for our makeovers is the lady that oversees the hair and makeup for Miss Virginia. And she volunteers for us every year. The first time that I remember Karen getting dressed up, she couldn't stand up that year. And we stuck some hooker heels on her, and a bunch of us held her up. But doesn't she look beautiful? Yeah. So this is the kind of thing we do. And the people that come, the people that come to our events, you know how you go to an event and you don't want to go to an MS event. You go in like this. Everybody comes out holding their head high and they're happy, and it changes your attitude when you can feel better about yourself. At the first event, we had a lady and a man that showed up. They'd never, ever, ever had a formal, and he'd never had a suit. And I love to make sure that everybody, any event that we do, my hope is always that everybody leaves happier than they came. So you can't tell me after this one that I have to quit. So this will take me, I'll need 2 more minutes because this is a jerker story. They were from West Virginia. You know, West Virginia, way out in West Virginia where they have Cadillacs sitting outside of their shack. And these people were coal miners, and they were married. He'd never had a suit, and she'd never had a formal. And she picked out probably one of the weirdest formals I'd ever seen in my life. And the necklace she picked out was hot peppers. I remember it was so funny. I was like, okay, she likes it. That's all that matters. But the dress was this much too long. And the first year, we had no idea what we were doing. We had 2 Hilton sewing kits and some kids' scissors. And we dressed 100 people like this, by the way. And so we had to take her dress and hem it like this much, and her horrible necklace, which she loved. And they were in heaven, as were so many people. It was just a great event, the people that participated. This event was in September, and in December, I got a phone call, and it was from the man. And he thanked me for this suit and for her dress because of us, he had a suit to wear to her funeral. And she was buried in her dress. And we weren't doing Cinderella's Closet but one time. But after a few phone calls like that, we realized that this is something that we needed to keep doing. This was making a difference. So we now have 1,000 ball gowns and formals. We have tuxedos. We could outfit several hundred people. We were donated 500 additional gowns from the Tim Tebow Foundation. Most of them were brand new with tags, and some of them are designer. Some of them were donated because they went to an organization that they were too risque for the young kids. But we don't care. We can wear our hooker heels and our risque dresses and fill in the blanks. And I've studied extensively, and I can outfit now about anybody. If you're a size 20 and you find a size 6 dress, or you show me a picture, I now think I can make that dress for you. Now, yes, but now you might be, it might be put together with safety pins and super glue and duct tape. But you're runway perfect. I promise I won't expose anybody on the runway. And then you find a seamstress and finish it off. But I actually been studying for the last few years how I can take the skirt from another dress and put it to the top, because we're not all made according to a size, right? So I invite all of you to come visit our office in Salem and come see the dresses. We're finally getting things organized. It's beautiful. We want people to visit there. In the last couple years, just a couple of things we've done in addition to our loaner closet. We do have a conference. A lot of people are familiar with the conference we have. A couple years ago, we had 12 neurologists that spoke. It was a 4-day conference. This was before COVID. COVID messed us all up, but we're getting back going again. We're huge into education. And so, but we also are huge into fun, because you got to have fun. But we all need to be empowered to learn and make our own choices. So one year this was really fun. I had seen in Salem this funeral home. Well, the guy does all kinds of things, but one of the things he has was this gorgeous carriage, like Cinderella's carriage. And I kept seeing that thing when I'd go through town. And so I'm like, I want to borrow that carriage. So I found that man to rent his carriage. And so he brought it over to this Holiday Inn for us for our event, and it was beautiful. It was a big, huge, like Cinderella's carriage. I don't know another better way to describe it. And so I don't know if some glistening power came in to the event that time, but our men started dressing up. So I have a picture of Stuart in a formal, and I have a picture of Rob in a formal, and Jeff Siegel, who, if anybody's seen him, Mr. Muscle Man up here in a formal, and I mean, these guys dressed up like you wouldn't believe, and they all looked gorgeous. But actually, I actually, no, you can't. Hey, Rob, grab my iPad. I'm going to. I used to put those pictures out there, and you'd get mad at me. You said, "What'd you do that for?" And so I started wondering about some of these men too. You know, like, do they really like these dresses this much? But we have a really, really good time. Last year, we did a drive-in theater night. So we rented a drive-in theater. There's a lack of them nowadays, but we rented the whole drive-in, and anybody that was in. We're not a membership organization, so when I use the word member, you don't have to join us. You just join with us. And so if all you need to do is be on our mailing list. If you're not on our mailing list, then all you need to do is just give me your name and your phone number and your address and email, and we'll get you on our mailing list. Everything we do is confidential. We share no information at all, and we will keep you up on what we're doing because we do really fun events. We have a wonderful Halloween party every year. Halloween's one of my favorite times because you can dress up to not have MS. How often can you do that, you know? One year I just didn't have MS. That's what I did, just put on my head, I don't have MS, and that's what I was for Halloween. And we have literature and resources, and this year and every year we have a holiday gala. And this year our holiday gala, if everybody wants to jot it down, is going to be on December the 17th at the Salem Civic Center. And it's going to be a formal event or festive. Because I have a husband, Jed Clampett, who doesn't like to get dressed up. And if I say it's a formal event, he will steer away from it. So we want it, but people are wanting to go back to be able to use Cinderella's Closet. So we're going to coordinate Cinderella's Closet with this, which would mean that if you want to come and visit Cinderella's Closet and find you a gown and shoes and you know, we have it all. We have I love gloves. Oh my goodness, the whole works. And we'll help get people. Some people we usually pick a few people for complete makeovers. And so December the 17th at the Salem Civic Center, on the afternoon, Stuart, MS Views and News, will be doing a program, and we'll flow from that program into our formal dinner. We'll have the dinner, and then we will hopefully have a live band and a lot of fun there. Gifts and prizes and games and just a hoopla. We will have a host hotel. We have not locked in our contract. I just signed the contract with the Civic Center, and Stuart and I were just able to firm up our arrangement last night. That's why I was so late. So he's going to be...
Wait. She's talking about being so late. I hadn't slept since 2:30 in the morning the night prior, all right? And then she keeps me up till 1 o'clock in the morning last night talking about all this stuff.
He's sponsoring our... and the rule I gave him, and this is huge, people, you know, I don't want it to be a commercial event. You don't want to go to a holiday gala and people trying to sell you something or whatever. So we'll have a program, and these programs are very helpful in my opinion. I've learned a lot from them, and I think we all do, because we want to be able to make our own decisions. Last year, I was selected out of all the veterans in the country. I was one of 40 veterans that was chosen to go to a veterans MS empowerment program. And I was like, why in the world would they want to empower a 70-year-old woman? I already cause enough trouble, and I do. I was recently on a cruise with a lady, and her scooter broke, and nobody was doing anything about it. And she got stuck in her cabin for a couple days, and nobody was doing anything about it. So I stepped in and did something about it. I mean, we all got to look out for each other. I'm already empowered. They didn't even invite me back this year. So I continue to empower. But we also will have a Halloween party this year. And one announcement that this became an issue last year, so I just want to make sure it's straight now. For 17 years, the National MS Society did a respite retreat at Smith Mountain Lake. A couple years ago, the man that is done in honor of and that funds it, Brian Mason, asked the MS Alliance if we would take that project over. And he gave us the guidelines he wanted followed for it, which are that your life must have been severely affected by multiple sclerosis, and you otherwise would not be able to travel, that you don't have the opportunity in life to take vacations and getaways. That doesn't mean that you're dirt poor, or doesn't mean that you're in a wheelchair. I consider that my life has been very severely affected by multiple sclerosis. And I also include in that people who are newly diagnosed, or people who have gone through a good time and all of a sudden got hit with a bad time again. The respite for years got bigger and bigger and bigger, with lots of children and people's next door neighbors' grandkids' children, and it's not that way now. It's truly a respite camp. And it's very small and very limited. We are just opening up invitations to that, and some people have already received their invitation. The number one priority is given to people who are active with the MS Alliance and our support groups. And that doesn't mean you live in our area, and that doesn't mean you've given us money, and that doesn't mean that you come and volunteer. It's not that whatsoever. So if you're the best thing, if you're interested in participating in any of the things that we do, is to watch our website. And I handed out my card to everybody. Our website is the MSAllianceofVirginia.org. We have a great website guide. Our website's kept up very well. And you'll see on there that we have an ambassador football player now with Virginia Tech. And I've signed a contract, and I'm on the board with Radford University Carilion Physical Therapy, and we're doing a program with them right now, trying to get education into the college so that they have more than one chapter on MS, where they'll learn more than just one day about MS. And so that's a huge thing we're working on. Be proactive. My biggest advice to you is know that one person can make all the difference in the world. And last year, I spent almost a year having a problem, and I thought my MS was progressing, and I thought that I was going all the way down. And so if I was going to go down, I was going to go down in style. So I was supposed to fly out to my empowerment program, and instead I decided to drive. So I drove, and they were telling me my MS was progressively getting worse, and I had all these things going wrong. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I can handle this. So I got in my car, and I drove to my VA program in Arizona, 32 days and 6,000 miles, and And I came home, and the day after I got home, I found out I had done all that with a broken hip. So don't always listen to the doctors when they tell you your MS is progressing. Follow your better judgment, and take care of yourself. Be proactive for yourself. If our organization can help you, if you have an interest in starting a group in your area, a group can be 3 people. 3 people getting together and talking. You leave helping each other, and that's what we do. So our organization's here to help other people get little groups started in their area, and we love to help, and we'd love you to be a part of anything we do. I thank Stuart for this opportunity. He's helped us immensely through the years. He was one of the people in the whole beginning that encouraged me to start the nonprofit, and it has been a wonderful experience, and we want involvement in any way anybody ever wants to help, and I thank you for listening to me, and bless all of you. Thank you.
Everybody say thank you, but you kept all these people online because you were going to show a picture. There's people online waiting for you to show a picture of 3 guys in a formal.
All right, well, that's the first one. But that's not...
Hold it still. There you go.
It can't get up on the board.
No, it can't go up on that
Okay.
board. That's
All
down.
right.
You'll show it to
So
the people afterwards.
that's not, but there's, talk about beautiful now. So we have so much fun. It's like playing dress up. Like, we're like little kids, and we're just having fun. Does that man look familiar?
That's me. That's a good one.
Now, wait a minute. It gets better. Oh, yes, it gets better. So this was 60s week, right? So this is a kind of fun thing we do. We last year at Respite, it was Gilligan's Island. So we all got stranded on Gilligan's Island.
So may I say something for everybody to hear? The point of all this is that the MS Alliance of Virginia is doing things for people, not just to educate them, but to actually bring them together, to get them out of their homes, to get them to do things that they don't normally do. Okay, and by doing the respite or having the Cinderella ball or doing one of their other luncheons or dinners or whatnot, it is a way to bring the MS community together and to let them know that they don't have to just live in their couches the rest of their lives. All right, so I hope Suzanne's almost done because I got to pack up and get out of here.
And the thing is that, I hear so many people say that, I don't think I could make a difference, but you can make a difference. Every person can make a difference. Stuart needs to buy him some dresses, I think. So I think, and then there's another
With a tie, yeah, too.
And then see, this is Rob. They have a set of twins. So Rob, we've been asking Karen for a while. Has this been going on ever since you married him, or?
All right, we're cutting the feed now. I'm done. I can't wait for you to show the other one, so I'm not doing it.
Well, I'm having trouble finding it.
That's good.
And people don't know always where to wear their clothes, right? Okay. I guess I should ask, are there any questions at all that anybody has? Yeah.
In 2018, he got the suit from Cinderella's closet. He loved it, and he was buried in it when he died in 2020.
Sorry to hear that.
And this was Kyle when we were at the 60s night, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time. And Kyle was her brother and Hazel's son, and we're a one big happy family. And it's interesting what she said, that Kyle got his suit from Cinderella's closet. It's just amazing. We've had people that Cinderella's closet has just, when someone has a dress, it's really strange. Someone will have a dress and they're like, I just can't get rid of it. But if you give it to Cinderella's closet, you can watch it live on. You can go on. We have great Facebook pages. We have 3. And you can just watch your things live on and on. Thank you, everybody. If I can help anybody, anywhere in the country, start a little group of their own. It wasn't complicated. It is a lot of work, but it wasn't complicated. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that are sent to you in the future.
Exactly. Thank you. And Suzanne, I wanted to give you this opportunity to be able to speak to the locals that are here, as well as for everybody that's online that's seeing this, and for all those that will see this on our YouTube channel in the coming weeks, because it is quite important. All right, it's very, very important. And, you know, I was glad to know from Suzanne from many years ago, and, you know, spoke with her about getting this started as a organization, because she was using community dollars to do events when she could have been asking for sponsorships from the corporations, you know, with and doing it, you know, better, you know, doing more for you all. So that's why I suggested that. But she's done such a great job for around here that I am trying to get her involved with some major MS groups from around the United States that only bring in normally national organizations, but being that she's now doing things virtually, that becomes national, right? It's not just local anymore.
Yes, and we are keeping our Zoom groups. We are keeping 2 Zoom groups going. But you know, I could sit here and me. This has been a problem all along. I wish I could change my name. There are people in this room that have helped build this organization. It wasn't just me.
I just want to say good night and good day to everybody out there. So everybody, thank you for being online with us today, and be well.
Thank you so much.